welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Thanks for joining us again today as we do what we do each and every day, look at the same 10 to 12 futures markets, identifying potential turning points and breakout trades. The key is we leave the lines on the charts so that you can see over time from an educational perspective how levels are affected as time passes. So if you are new to the channel, do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below. If you are watching us regularly, leave a comment, leave a like. It helps the YouTube magical mythical machine be able to find me a bit better. So let's go ahead and dive right in. S&P's down 8 this morning as we spent pretty much all of yesterday rallying, and we came to a point where I thought we could get a bit of a little breakout. I tried to tweet it yesterday and was unable to get the tweet out. I don't know why, but yesterday I was looking at maybe seeing if we were coming close into our breakout range. If we were going to, chop around and base through here, we did not get a good enough breakout, and look, it continued to fall from there. So, nothing to really, write home about from that little thrust up there in the overnight hours. And now we've kind of come down over the course of the last few hours. And why do you ask, did it fall over the last few hours? The answer is, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. What I care is that it's creating more tradable opportunities down the road. Now, falling from here, I still want to see a breakout trade above this region. So I'm really still kind of holding off. If you have been watching every day, I've really not been trying to catch these little reversals. I want to catch the bigger moves when they present themselves. These little reversals inside, I mean, theoretically, could we have gotten a short off of this level? Sure, it's easy to look back and say, oh, that would have been a good trade. Well, the three richest men that ever lived are Mr. Coulda, Mr. Woulda, Mr. Shoulda. And that's one of the reasons why I don't take the lines off the charts and I don't add lines to the charts when I'm not in the recording, because I think it's real easy for people to say, look how well my process worked. Well, it didn't work because I didn't have the trade set up. And the reason I didn't have the trade set up is because that wasn't a high enough probability. It didn't have my rules intact. It wasn't formed at a good time of the day. It was a reaction to this level over here to the left. And so there was no way that I was going to catch this short. I'd love to say that I am, but I think a lot of traders out there that talk about how the system and strategy works is they look back and say, look how well it worked, even though they didn't take the trade. That's why I try to do this thing on a daily basis and show you're going to miss some. And this is a great example of that, right? I want to feel like I caught this. Because I did look at this area, but decided it wasn't, high enough probability. The key is not to worry about missed opportunities because they're going to come around back again. Now, the S&P has not come anywhere near its all-time high, whereas the Nasdaq was able to put in an intraday all-time high. We put in an all-time high yesterday. And then in the overnight hours, got even a bit higher. And so we're seeing that performance come from the Nasdaq markets. Now, I will be interested later today to see if we get a reversal here. We're almost to that point right now. And the reason I look at this area is that we have a little bit of kind of basing right here at the London Open. This is really around the European markets open, but it was also a former resistance area here in the past, and it's been kind of a turning point for price 3 or 4 times. Now, the orders that existed back here are no longer relevant and they're no longer valid. We know that. The orders that existed can no longer be there, but does it mean that people aren't using those turning points in the past as psychological areas to place new orders? They very well may be. But since I don't know for sure if they are, I'm not going to just be willing to go long when price comes into here. This is where the dashed line trade comes into effect and looking for the potential reversal on a confirmation style entry. Next would be taking a look at crude oil. And this reminds me of the 80s song, So Close Yet So Far Away. I almost got the order filled, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And so I am going to just let this thing go. There's nothing for me to add on to this trade at this point. Theoretically, I think we could look down here for a potential reversal. But until we get to one of the bigger turnaround points, I'm going to let crude oil be with the levels that we have in place. Gold, solid gold. We never made it quite back up to the origin of this drop that we had identified, so this level still remains intact. Looking at this on a daily chart, gold is definitely showing me a tremendous amount of weakness. We're on a pretty strong downward trend. I am definitely more of a short fan for gold right now than I am a long. Although for investors, it's still acting as a hedge for stock market movement. But as the market's gone up, the gold has really receded. Now, I'm not willing to short it at the moment because I feel like we're maybe a little overextended in the drop. And on the daily time period, we do have a little area here where we could see some reversal. So, there's a possibility of a reversal in this area here. Moving it out to the 4-hour chart, this was a long time ago trade where we caught a reversal off of here on a candle-to-candle style of trade. I remember way back. And there's a little bit of basing in here where we may see some stalling. So I'm not comfortable with it, setting up a trade for it yet. I prefer the short if we do get a rally back up to a potential reversal point. And that could be, this one here, once again, with my time of day thing. I don't love the time of day this was created. If you're so inclined, you could theoretically take since we've just been basing here for the last few hours, you could theoretically take a small breakout trade below here to just kind of rejoin this trend. And that's the problem with trying to trade those reversals on good breakouts, is it doesn't always come back. So you could theoretically get short on a little breakdown below here. Looking at bonds. So bonds, we are still chopping sideways, nowhere near any of our areas. Our Aussie trade, we met our entry, and the Aussie trade met entry and has continued to move down pretty steadily ever since. So if you are in this one, make sure that you have moved your stop accordingly to fit your risk tolerances and your risk profile. If you were able to catch that Aussie trade, great. I'm going to remove this level from the charts because that level has already been proven to be effective. Although I think I don't think we're going to come back up. I feel like it's going to continue its move down. And I learned this a long time ago about thinking about a trend as wholesale and retail, right? And when I think about a trend, I keep clicking the wrong buttons all over the place. Hold on, ooh, I'm a mess. When I think about a trend as wholesale and retail, when you're bouncing off the top, it's retail. When you're on the bottom, it's wholesale. So we're back to the retail of this trend line, and we could see this thing come back down from this area. Now, I need a reversal or some sort of candle-to-candle to initiate my entry. The trend line is certainly not going to be enough, but if you are so inclined, maybe you could take more of a candle-to-candle style right at this reversal area. The euro. So in the euro, we've got our reversal trade up in here. I will say that I looked at this on the weekly chart. We're not getting the reversal out of this area that I had kind of hoped we would get. It is already petered out, if you will. So I'm going to remove this as our, with the level kind of petering out, I don't want to certainly continue to focus on it. So ideally, if you got into this is one of those trades where, you've moved your stop up, you've maybe locked in a bit of profits, or maybe it came back down and you took a small loss. But these are those flyers that sometimes because this did have plenty of room to run higher, it just was unable to hold on to any of those gains. And so now we've got some reversal trades just above us as price kind of comes back into it. And we could wind up, if we get deep enough into that weekly reversal point, that could pop us up into some of these good areas for a reversal. I think I can get rid of this breakout line. This breakout line is no longer valid. It was a good trade for the long breakout, but then, this was the skadoosh down there as the ECB announcements came out. The Canadian dollar, let me know if you're still in the Canadian dollar trade. It's been over a week now since our Canadian dollar breakout. Leave it in the comment section down below if you're still in this Canadian dollar trade and it's still working out for you. I mean, this was found on a breakout style trade. This one we've had in play for over a week, and it's continuing its move down. So if you're still in this one, do me a favor, leave that in the comments down below. I always like to hear how it's working out for you. Great British Pound. So our Great British Pound trade that we had identified on our 15-minute chart, This is one where you're feeling pretty weak about it until you get a strong move away. So this was our Great British Pound entry, and it's continuing its move down. Once again, this one is no longer going to be valid because we traded all the way to the top, but it is moving along nicely, and hopefully you're able to catch some of that movement. If you did, once again, put it in the comment section down below. I like to hear these kind of things and how it's working out for you. But I took the lines off the charts, and the reason being is that we traded all the way up into the very top of that area before then reversing and coming back down. So that one's no longer valid. So I've got to look on a little bit of a bigger scale to see where my next area is. And when I go to a 4 hour, there's nothing in here that I like. So I've got a level way down here that I can just be patient and wait for. Japanese yen, there's nothing that I had on the charts because nothing really excited me or made me fall in love. I don't know why it keeps doing that today. Nothing excited me or made me fall in love with a particular trade. So I'm gonna let this thing just kind of sit. You could use, for those of you that are candle-to-candle style and understand it, you could use a candle-to-candle short right up here as we've come back to this little fairly lengthy sideways price pattern where there was nothing happening. You could use a candle-to-candle short off of this area right here. And nothing to add for copper or nat gas today. Nat gas maybe could come into this region up above where we've got a decent reversal opportunity, but that's still fairly far away. And all in all, when you look at nat gas's price action, it's really just been chopping sideways inside of a pretty large range. So that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, chuck@iiefinancial.com. Also, if you have somebody who may be interested in maybe they see what you're doing with your trading, they like the trading, but they don't think it's for them, but maybe they want somebody to manage their money effectively, and it's something that you think somebody would benefit from, I would greatly appreciate the referral. Just give me just have them shoot me an email, chuck@iiefinancial.com, or you send me an email with their contact info, and I will reach out and say hello and see if I can help them out at all. So thanks so much, everybody. I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you soon.